So we're going to work balance and posture. And although we are working on, when we do on the floor, we are always working towards posture, but this class, we're going to always work against gravity. Okay, so we're kind of going one step up a little bit, working with gravity, because both posture and balance depends on gravity. So we are adding this component, okay, in this class, this Friday class. If you need an extra cushion, please, I put on mine because I know I don't have enough natural cushion. So I just add some. All right, everybody in the chair? Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to mute you all. And yes, I want to see all of you. Maybe you can push your chair. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I will go to my chair. Okay, so here, so you can start leaning back. So your skin is going to be sitting. So totally fine to lean back and take the support of the chair to start with. Let me let somebody else in. So as are you leaning back on your chair, so remember to get your chair today. As you're leaning back, really take the support of the backrest and then observe your feet on the ground. It's almost like you have ink on the sole of your feet and you're going to imprint the floor with your foot like a stamp. So you observe, bring your attention first to the left foot, and then like if you're drawing, so you see if the heel on the floor, and then you come and see if you feel the arch touching, or maybe that part is suspended, and then you feel more of the outside. So you start kind of to feel up that almost like you're drawing on the floor, and then the front of the foot, the ball of the foot, and then the toes. Observe if you feel all of them, or maybe you feel the first toe, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and then bring your attention to your right foot and observe the direction of the toes. Maybe one foot it turns out a little bit more compared to the other, so observe the direction of the toes, and then again you're stamping, you're imprinting, stamping the floor with your foot, and observe the shape. And you feel the heel, the middle of the foot, the front of the foot, the ball, and then observe the first toe on the right foot, the second. See if you can, even in your imagination, have that clarity and that differentiation. Do you see in your mind's eyes, or do you feel all the toes? And then the third and the fourth and the fifth. So when it comes to balance, right, the feet, the game, the ability the feet to adapt to the surface is essential. However, in our culture, most of the time we have shoes. So we don't have this chance or opportunity to work with the toes and articulate the foot. So we're nice to do what we're going to do in the series, kind of recover that potential of the foot, okay, to negotiate with the surface. So and also bring your attention to your lower legs. So observe if your knees are balanced right on top of your foot, or if they are a little bit to the inside of your foot, a little bit to the outside. In other words, is your foot balancing your lower leg? Is that perpendicular? Or it tilts in a little bit, it tilts out. Maybe bring your attention to the left side first, because maybe they do different things. And then you start to understand, oh yeah, my foot also support this column, right? The leg. So observe if your knee comes a little bit to the inside of your foot, and just make a mental note about it. If you go a little bit to the outside of your foot, it's right on top. Same thing on the right. Where is your foot? Where is your knee in relation to your foot? To the inside, it's right on it, to the outside. So observe all of that so we can kind of have an idea how much support are you really getting from your feet. And then bring your attention to your thighs and then to your pelvis. Notice if you have more weight on the right side, more weight on the left. So you see that in sitting it's very interesting because gravity is acting up, so you can collect a different source of information. And then just observe your spine, see if it's stacking up from your pelvis. So there's a lot of this idea of support, right? That's stacking up. Is this on top of that? So if that um, architecture is not well designed, right? So the skeleton it's failing in that function of support to give a stable frame. So then the muscles need to jump in and do that for uh, to keep us from falling, right? And then just feel your spine stacking up, and then bring your attention to your shoulders and notice how comfortable you are, or if you already feel some tension, some weighting, or whatever you feel about the shoulders, and then bring your attention to your neck and then to the head. And now move forward in your chair. So you're sitting on the edge of the chair, not taking the support anymore. Okay, and I'm coming closer so I can watch you guys as we start moving. So come to the edge. Don't take the support anymore. That's right. Perfect. Okay. And now start to tilt your head to the right. That's right. And in the last class, lying down, we differentiate tilting from turning, right? So your nose is pointing towards a wall, whatever is in front of you, and your nose pivot. It doesn't turn, it doesn't move. It's almost like you have a infrared come out of your nose and you have this dot on the wall in front of you, and you tilt your head, bringing your right ear towards your right shoulder, but that point you don't deviate. That point doesn't scan the wall, it stay fixed. So you tilt, bring your right ear towards the right shoulder, and then bring it back to the center. And again, and just like when we do lying down, go as far as you can go with ease. So we don't want a lot of effort. So start to build now against gravity this movement with minimal effort possible. So the move in this path from in which your right ear come closer to your right shoulder, the path is very smooth. It's continuous. There's no bumping. There's no effort. It's almost like you relax into it. Let gravity do the work. It's almost like you're just allowing gravity to take your head. You're taking the effort off of holding the head up, and gravity is taking your head to the right. And as soft, as smooth it was going there, is the coming back. Okay? So imagine that there is some work being done on the left side when you come back, right? To bring the head back. So just keep your left side of the neck as soft as the right. So the work is done, but it's done with the minimal amount of effort necessary. We don't do a bit more. That's right. And when your head tilts to the right, notice what happened on the right side of your body. Does anything happen on your right shoulder, right ribs? What happens with the weight on your pelvis? So you tilt your head to the right. Do you feel any weight shift on your pelvis? And if you do, to which side is your weight shifting? To the right or to the left? So you observe that you're moving the head, but you're never just moving the head, right? And then next time you go to the right, observe the contact, the pressure on the floor. Does anything change? So you come back and you feel your feet on the floor, the amount of pressure. As you tilt, notice if that pressure changed on the right and on the left. That's, that's and bring it back to the center. Just feel your weight, the length of the right side compared to the left. Pull back on a chair and take the rest. Take the support from the rest, from the backrest. And just rest in sitting. Okay. Now come to the edge again. And in the next movement, you're gonna lift the right side of your pelvis off the chair. So almost like you're gonna slide a little piece of paper underneath your right buttocks. That's right. That's right. That's right. And as you lift your pelvis like this, so you're hiking the right side of the pelvis, come up and then goes back down. And when it goes, take the time to go down and then take a time to rest to zero. So there's no remaining, so we are not contraction on top of the contraction. There's no residual contraction when you start the next movement. Okay, remember we are working against gravity, so there's always some work being done to fight gravity, but we want to get to the minimum necessary. So we really want to fine tune that. So you hike, lift the right side of the pelvis, come back and wait, drop your weight, take the time to drop the weight back into your right side. So that said, probably you can feel that every time you lift, you pick up the right side of your pelvis, your weight gradually shifts to the left, and then you come back. So of course, when we talk about balance, right, one of the functions that comes to mind is walking, right? So there is one another very essential property or component of a walking, that is the weight shift. And as simple as that, or as obvious as it may sound, you'll be surprised the amount of people that don't shift the weight. Okay, so right now, feel how as you start, actually to be able to lift the right side, you have to unload your right side. So you have to take the weight off your right side and bring over to the left. That's right. Then bring it back. And when you come back, bring the weight back into the right side. Sometimes I observe that people have injuries. Maybe they hurt their foot a few years ago, and then temporarily it was necessary to shift the weight to the other side. But the foot healed, and they never brought the weight back to the side that was injured. Okay, so you shift, so you know how it feels be unloaded, and then you load that side, like, oh, I feel my weight dropping. So now all of that conversation about weight that we do on the floor, it gains a completely not completely different, but becomes more important, right? Because now we have a mass and we have a force, that means that we have weight, right? Drop back. Now, let's study a little bit your strategy to do that. Okay, so first of all, attend to your foot. When you shift your weight to the left, what are you doing with your right foot? Okay. Is the foot lifting with the leg? Is the foot going towards the floor? So let's try both ways, okay? First, shift your weight to the left in a way that your right foot come off the ground a little bit. So you lift your heel. So this is one way of doing, and observe the amount of effort in the leg. The hip joint is very interesting what happened in the right hip joint when you do that. Okay. And now press the heel down and shift the weight. Uh-huh. Yes. So go back and forth, lift the heel and push, especially around the hip joint. And if you're not sure, if you rest your hand on your hip like this, you will feel it's different. That's something that catches kind of, and then press with the heel, and the hip joint works different. Okay. So for now, let's narrow down, okay, and push with the whole right foot. So you're pushing off your right foot. Your right foot goes down and push you away to the left. So that's right. You're using your whole foot. So you gain a lot of mobility when you do that because your leg is going down, but your pelvis is going up. In the previous variation, they're coming up together. So you have more work involved because you have to carry that whole hip together. Does that make sense? So you press the foot. It's just like walking. You press down and you propel yourself up and forward. That is a separation of these two arrows. They change direction. The leg grounds you. So you become, see, when we talk about balance, go back to the feet. The legs move down, they ground you. But at the same time, because they are pushing down, that is a force coming back up and push your trunk up. So you create this length, this separation in the level of the hip joint. Beautiful. Rest a little bit. Just rest on the edge. Don't go to the back. Just rest your attention a little bit. So we narrowed down the work with the legs. Let's now see what strategy we are using for the trunk. Okay. So pick up your right side and notice what you're doing with your head. Is your head, so you're pushing off of the right foot, push off of the right foot, pelvis shift to the left, right side of the pelvis come up, and notice what you're doing with your head. Is your head moving to the left when you shift, or is your head moving to the right when to shift? What is your option? What is your strategy? Uh-huh. So let's do both way. Okay. Push up with your foot and let your head move to the left. So your head is making an arc and move to the left, hiking the right side of the pelvis. That's right. And see how that feels, right? And then pause a little bit. And now do the opposite. Push and tilt your head to the right. That's right. That's right. And then a few times to the left and see how that works. Taking the weight off the right, bring the weight to the left. See how that works. How is that? How far can you go in that direction? And now head going to the right. You see how that works. That's and let it all go. Rest back in your chair. Just rest. And now please come to the actually stand up from a chair and go for a walk. Walk around and see how you feel, the right and the left. Okay. And come back to your chair, sitting on the edge. And now let's start work. Before we clarify the trunk, the head, let's go to the left side first. Okay, so we keep the mystery a little bit longer. So tilting your head to the left like we did at the beginning, and just notice, does your head go easier to the side? How does this feel compared to what we did on the right side? Is the movement happening just in the neck, or do you feel more of your spine involved? What's happening on the ribs? So this is side bending is a theme that we keep going back and right, we go back to it. We initiate this year working with side bending, right? Lying on your side and work with side bending. Last series, when we work transferring from sitting to stand, there was a moment that we see how crucial it was to have that side bending to be able to um, come back to the floor slowly in a controlled manner, right? The ability to expand and so we keep come back to it. It's one of the first patterns that we have still in the womb, right? That side bending, and is an important component um, for balance. Okay, so as you tilt your head to the right, see if you can allow the sorry girls, the left. See if you can allow your ribs to shorten on the left side and then come back. Almost let's think backwards. Think about bending the ribs on the left side, and that will bring your head side, and then you bring it back. That's right. So you see that the whole spine now is creating that arc. The movement is not so much concentrated in the cervical spine, but it spreads through the whole spine. That's right. And as you tilt to the left, to which side is your weight shifting? Sometimes it doesn't matter what we do, the weight always go to the same leg. Is our standing leg. Is the and we for some reason or for some history, um, we avoid putting weight on a specific side. So we don't assume that because we are reversing the side, we are doing the opposite side, we are going to feel the opposite thing. We can still be feeling the same thing. You could still be feeling sensing that your weight is going to the same place. That is very legitimate, okay? Very true for many people. So tilt your head and be open-minded to see what, and stick really with what you feel, because sometimes it is a logical answer to it, but the logical not, it doesn't apply in this work. So we stick to what it feels. So tilt to your left and now leave your head where it is and start to hike the left side of the pelvis and notice if is there any resistance. Like I said before, sometimes we have a favorite side, sometimes no. Most of us, actually all of us, have a dominant leg, just like we have a dominant arm, right? So that means that that dominant leg is the one that lead. Sometimes can be the leg that lead the movement, but that means that if that leg is the leader in movement, the other leg is the stable one, right? So observe now as you start to shift away to the right. Is that as easy as shifting to the left? We all have preferences, and take this moment to see, oh, excuse me, I tend to shift my weight more. This it's easier for me to shift my weight to the right or to the left. So start to have that conversation and lift. And now you know more. So observe how are you pressing on the floor, because if you think about shifting the weight, you will feel that the pressure on the floor, the left foot presses the floor independent of your um, intention, if we are not having the extra work to pick it up. But if we just let the leg be, if we just don't do anything, um, in, not intentionally, but unconsciously, but if we don't pick up the leg, just let it be, you will feel that even when you, just by moving the pelvis to the right, the pressure on the floor with the left foot increases. And then you can think backwards. You increase the pressure on the floor and the pelvis still to the right. So these two things are happening anyway. It doesn't matter your starting point. Is that one is active and the other one is passive. And then you start pushing with the foot is the active action, and the passive action is the pelvis going to the right. So you can just be playing back and forth. Where am I initiating my movement from? Which is my first active action, and then you just follow that thread all the way through. It doesn't matter where you start, it's going to go through the whole chain. Okay, now pause a little bit on the edge where you are. That's right. And now as you tilt your head, as you pick up your pelvis on the left side, observe the direction of the movement of your head. Is your head moving to the right? So do that a few times, see how that feels. Or is your head moving to the left? Which one seems to be more natural for you? And I'm going to let you explore in that a little bit. A few times, shift. That's right. So shift with the head going to the right. So you pick up the pelvis, like if you're going to slide. Sometimes I like to slide the hand underneath the pelvis and then bring it back just as a, yeah. And then you see how do you do. So the hand can be here, can slide under and then go back, go out. So do a few times so you get some clearance the left side, and then tilt it to the left. That's right. And now come back to the back of the chair and rest. And now come back to the edge again. And this time tilt your head to the right, pass through the center, tilt your head to the left, and back, passing through the center. Make sure this movement is not a stretch, right? Refrain from any desire to stretch the neck. We don't want to go there. You just want to find this very floaty, very soft movement that translates from the neck all the way down to your chest. So you feel the right side of your trunk bending when you go to the right, and then the left side shortening When you go to the left, and you soften yourself, going to the right, going to the left. That's right. And now pause the top and do the same with the leg, with the pelvis. Pick up the right side of the pelvis, pass through the center, left side, pass through the center, right. So you start to create kind of like a pendulum movement, and it goes up, and then it goes down the hill, and then up the hill. You see that your pelvis rise. You rise to the top of the left hip. You go down. You're more in between both legs, and then you go to the top of your right hip, and you go back in the center, and then you go to the top of the right hip. So practice finding this place in which you are on the highest point on the hip joint, and then you come out of it, and then you go to the highest point on the other side, and using your feet on the ground, pushing. Okay, don't hold on the hips. It's the opposite. Free up your hips so you can go to the right, to the left. That's right. Softening, softening, softening. That's right. Make it very easy. It takes almost just a thought. Going up on a mountain, down, and then find the top of the hip and down, and find the top of the hip on the other side. Pushing, alternating that push from one right foot, left foot, right foot, softening your ribs. So you see that when you initiate from the pelvis, just like when you initiate from the head, the sides. That's right. You see how much mobility, if you put your hands on the ribs, you feel that one side shortens, one side lengthens. That's right. That's right. Now come back and rest on your back. And come to the edge again. And this time, let's integrate with the head. So push with your right foot, lift the right side, and let your head go to the left. So you're shifting with the head going opposite to the side that you're pushing. So when we move like this, and now we get a little prop here to show you guys. When we move like this, so this I'm moving my spine as if it is a stick, right? So this is what I'm doing. Moving my spine as if I'm keeping my spine together, and I'm moving my head opposite. Okay, so moving the spine as a stick. See, I'm doing this. Okay, shift the weight, and probably you will feel when you do that the weight shifts to the side that your head is going, right? So I'm shifting the weight to the right, head's going to the right. I shift the weight to the left, head going to the left. So this is one strategy, okay? This is one way of doing it, okay? Now, let's integrate the movement of the pelvis and feet with the head going to the same side. So you lift the right side of the pelvis, head goes to the right. You lift the right side of the tail. So in this way, the weight is shifting opposite. So I tilt my head to the left, my weight goes to the right. I shift my weight to the right, my weight goes to the left. That's right. So let me see. That's right. That's right. That's right. Pushing. Remember, the feet is glue on the. You need that feet pushing the ground. Don't let the feet come out of the ground. Push. Push with one foot. Push with the other. That's what's gonna ground you. There's no other place to hold from. It's just the contact of the feet on the ground that's gonna build your balance. We can't hold. There's nothing. There's no other place to hold, right? So use that foot on the ground, push and shift, push and shift, push and shift. That's right. And you grow out of that. You're pushing off that foot. That's right. That's right. Now, let's do a little bit of walking. So first, I want you to pick up one side of the pelvis, move it back, like if you're moving towards the back of the chair. And first, do it with your head, moving the spine as a stick. And then you move back forward, the spine as a stick. Okay? So you go opposite. Uh-huh. And then do a few times like that. Sorry. Opposite. So I lift my left side, my head goes, the left head goes to the right, right. So moving the spine as a stick. Okay, and see how much movement is happening. That's right. Moving, walking. We are doing a walking with the buttocks walk. That's right. Pushing with the legs. Let your knees articulate. Pushing off, pushing off. Use your legs on the floor. That's right. And now keep your head in the center and do the same thing. So the head cannot move. The head is the whole time aligned with your belly button. And move forward. Right, move. You see, that's right. You can't move your spine as a stick anymore. Can you see how our spine is doing this? It's side bending, right? There's a little bit more happening. There's a little bit of rotation happening too because we are moving back and forth. But notice how you have to bend. To keep your head in place, you need to bend the spine, the ribs. Move back and forth like this, keeping your head in space. So your head and your belly button are aligned. Your nose and your belly button are aligned, and you're moving around that. That's right, like a train, back and forth. That's right, a lot of mobility going on. And now, to make that curve even more pronounced, tilt the head to the side of the pelvis that you're picking up. So lift the left, tilt the left, lift the right, tilt the right, and moving, walking like that with your head tilting. It feels like a snake. That's right. And rest everything. Lie on your back and rest. Ah. Actually, why don't you guys take a full rest on the floor if you have your mat, giving that as an option, okay? Oh, everybody took my my offer. Just rest on the floor. And settle a little bit. That's right. So you can be resting as I talk. There are two very important terms that I'm going to be using in this class. One is base of support. The other one is center of mass. Okay. So I'm going to explain both, and then we're going to start to think about posture and balance and walking because it's so related to walking in terms of base of support and center of mass. Okay, so roll to your side, go for a walk, integrate everything that we did, and then come to your chair. But take your time. Take your time. Don't shake off. Stand up and feel your standing, and walk around and feel your walk. And when you're ready, you come back to sit on your chair. That's okay. So base of support, it's my base. Is the space between one foot and the other. If we draw an imaginary, maybe if we could connect one foot to the other, that space in between is my base of support. Okay. Center of mass is the center of gravity. Is if it's very related to our balance, right? So it's not on the belly button, it's a little bit below, but for our reference, for our image, we're going to think about the belly button, although it's not there, it's a little bit below the belly button. Okay, so think about your center being around your navel, and every time my center of support, my center of mass, my navel, come closer to the end of my base of support, I'm very vulnerable. I'm almost falling. Every time my center of mass falls out of my base of support, I'm falling. Okay, so one of the concepts for balance is where is my center of mass relate to my base of support. It has to fall within, it has to be inside my base of support, otherwise I'm falling. The closer I get to the edges of that base of support, more vulnerable I become. So every time I move my spine as a stick, can you see how close to my base of support I am, right? If I do that in standing, it will be like this. So in every step, you see how much noise is happening. Let me get my stick again. Every step, I'm very vulnerable because every step I'm moving my center of gravity too much, right? And it doesn't take much to take me out of my base of support, right? It doesn't take much for me to go out of my base of support. If my base support is here, anything beyond that, I'm falling, right? Now, if I articulate my back, if I have this mobility, I don't move my base of support at all. My base support, sorry. My center of mass is falling right in the middle of my base of support. Even because I'm shifting, look, like this. I'm lengthening and shortening, but this moves forward like that in every step. Okay, very different than this. I'm exaggerating. Okay, so we have to think about tracing that vector. You wanted that to fall right in the middle. It's so far from the edges. If something happened, a force come and push me, I am inside my base of support. I can have a lot of gain here. If I'm here and someone push me, I'm so vulnerable because I'm right in the edge already. Okay, so this is very important because Unfortunately, as we age, and it's nothing to do with aging, it's just the poor habit, we become stiff, right? We lose this mobility. So the spine start to move more like this. And then I start to hear what? I have fear of falling, fear of falling, fear of falling. And unfortunately, the more fearful you become, more you brace, stiffer, more noise. Remember, we have the inner ear informing the position of your head in space, right? More noise. So it is very disturbing. So when someone say, I have fear of falling, that's when you look and you don't see this, right? It's very legitimate because they are picking their system is picking up on all this noise in every single step. Okay, so think about this center, right? It doesn't get disturbed. It moves forward like this, and I have all this movement around it, but the center is very stable. It advances like that, not a lot of noise in every step, a lot of stimulus in every step. Okay, so I invite you to, as you go for a walk or start to think about it, am I getting to the highest point of my hip? This is actually for another class, but am I getting Am I getting on the highest point of my hip in every step? Am I going up in the mountain, down, up in the mountain, down? So you push with your feet and you grow to your full height in every step. I don't drop and drop. I grow up and up and up and up. Remember, we did this lesson, the monkey bar? Right? So you see how all tied up together. But as we come closer and closer and start to work with gravity, we see that work that we do on the floor is not to stay on the floor. We have to bring into gravity, into force, into carrying, pushing, uh, um, um, propelling, all of that, balancing, right? Okay, ladies, so this was today's class. So next week, Friday, we do the relax and lengthening, going for those stretching more lightly, and then in the not next the not next Friday, the following we do balance and posture again. All right, and Monday we have awareness to movement. Yay! Thank you. Mwah. Have a lovely weekend. See you on Monday. What? Oh, I know. I should have finished like that. Oh God. Yes. You know what? I love it. I think I would teach it again. Maybe I teach with rotation next time, and then it's a secret. Okay, I hope that doesn't stay recorded. So then, in the end, I play some salsa. Love it. Oh, I love. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yes. You remember the lambada? Does it make it here? Does it got here? Oh my God! I think I was in my teens. I all the time. I would be just Oh, because it's here. Oh, I want to show you. I'm gonna have a little I don't know if it was, I think it was Caribbean, but it really exploded in Brazil, really. So it's all here. It's like this, like that. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, it's like out. Oh, wait, out, tat, tat, out, tat, tat, out. So it's all here. Isn't that cool? Love it. You see that all matters is like, oh, I have experience. I remembered. Oh, I love that image. Oh, fantastic. Love it. Mwah! Thank you. Bye.